Very good. So we've done a lot of these Zoom meetings, and every time I have to share my screen, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride, the fear and the trepidation, and is it going to work? And I have big thumbs. So everybody hold your breath.
Well, you saw what happened to me.
Oh, I think I've actually got this. Can you see it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, now I'm going to go to full screen. Okay, good. So first of all, Bill, thank you for inviting Santa Barbara County to join in today. This is really enjoyable to be a part of what you put together today. And I know that Tom Fayram is disappointed that he's not able to join in, but I'll give him an update on this whole thing. And it's very true that our partnerships with the SCS and the NRCS are just very, very strong. And they've gone back decades and decades and decades. And not only for myself and for Matt, but Tom wanted to particularly, call out Charles Davis as just a special person. And, Bill, you've used the word blessing a few times earlier on, and I want to use that word too. A real blessing to work with you all, with the NRCS, just such a wonderful partnership. So I wanted to put that out there. So anyway, I am John Frye. I'm the engineering manager with the Flood Control District in Santa Barbara. I'm kind of a newer guy here. I've only been here since 1994, so I'm still trying to learn the ropes. And Matt Griffin, my colleague, he's kind of a new guy too. He's only been here since about 1999. So I also was going to say hi to Peter before he signed off in Ventura, because he and I and others have been in all sorts of collective meetings over the past 3-4 years with everything that's been going on in this community. So I see that I started off with the very last slide, and I'm going to do a really quick backtrack here. So here we are. I'm up front now, and again, thanks for inviting us. Let me get back to the full screen. Okay, so Bill, you had suggested you wanted us to go over just very briefly an inventory, if you will, of past SCS or NRCS projects. And right when you said that, a couple thoughts came to my mind. First of all, there are a lot of projects that we have partnered on over the decades, long even before I got here. But number two, it was the nudge that I needed, because it's actually been something in the back of my mind that I've wanted our mapping people to put together, like an inventory, a graphic inventory, if you will, because at Santa Barbara County Flood Control in the next couple of years, there's going to be a real turnover in senior level type people. And one thing we want to do is pass this institutional knowledge along. People are going to forget unless we make a conscious effort to take steps in that direction. So this is a very didn't have a whole lot of time to put this together, but this is a list of projects that a couple of us just off the top of our head put together. Goes back to the 70s for sure. And in fact, before I forget, so this Guerra Structures, that picture in 1975, okay, that's original construction. Now in 1998, we had a big storm come through. Those structures suffered significant damage. NRCS came to town with an EWP project, repaired the structures. I'm looking at that plan sheet right now, and I see that the approval was recommended by William A. Ward, and it was designed by WWK, not sure who that is, and it was drawn by ALC and WEP. Now, I don't know if any of those initials ring a bell. The acting state conservation engineer has a signature like a doctor. So I cannot tell you who that is. I can't read it. I can't make it out. But anyway, in map form, we've got projects that stretch from the Lompoc area that's over to the west there in the blue, and such as the San Miguelito system, Rodeo San Pascual. We've got a whole variety of things. In the lower right, we've got the Carpinteria watershed projects. Again, back late 70s. I show a couple fire outlines, the Gap fire in yellow, the Jesucita fire in red, because those were about 10 years ago, separated by about a year. And again, the NRCS came to town with a checkbook, and through an EWP project funded to the tune of about $3 million for each of these projects.
Wow.
A hydromulching effort, which that itself is maybe worth a presentation all of its own. So a lot of history, a lot of strong work. So moving on to the Santa Monica debris basin. This is an aerial photo looking at the basin. The ocean is in the background. You can see the ag areas in the immediate downstream direction, the highly urbanized areas down of that. And then between the urbanized and the coast is the Carpinteria salt marsh. That's that big open area down there.
See, John, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second to give you a heads up. I got about 4 minutes before I'm going to have to, we'll sign out again. So I just want to let you know that if you want to have, first of all, I want to thank you for that inventory. That was what I was really looking for, because it just shows the partnership we had over so many years to install so many projects. But I didn't want to, I just want to let you know that right now I've probably got about 3 minutes left. And then,
well, I tell you what, why don't we close it out right now? Yeah. And if you want to take a 10-minute break, 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, because it seems like this might be a good time to let Matt take over.
I think so, yeah. But I'm glad that I had a chance to say hello to everybody. And and now that I'm thinking of it, I failed to mention Doug Tays and what a resource he has been to us.
He's been incredible. I'm just really disappointed. For whatever reason, he didn't get to join us today. But one of the things I did do is I have something recorded here. It's going to be kind of choppy. But anyway, I think I can share that with everybody. So anyway, let's all sign out and come back in 10 minutes.
I want to say one quick thing, Bill.
Yes.
I want to thank John for showing us pictures of the Santa Monica debris basin. I have not seen that since 1978 or somewhere. Wow. In there. And I had heard there had been some storms, and I was wondering how that thing would perform. And I was just a peon in terms of when that came through our office in Portland and reviewing some of the structural components. But it's interesting to see that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think Matt's going to show you some really interesting photos. There's a couple videos that we have embedded. And everybody on this phone call needs to be really proud of what that Santa Monica Basin did. It was, I mean, I'm at a loss for words. So anyway, you'll get a taste of that after we get back from the break.
Got to sign off, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Whoever can join us in 10 minutes.
Okay.
You sound fine right now.
Okay, good. And I just wanted to echo what John says. It is a pleasure being able to talk about these projects with you guys and tap into your wealth of knowledge and experience. I've had the pleasure of working with Doug Taves the last couple of years, and he's great. He's a really great guy, and he's been instrumental in getting us into the design process for some improvements to the Santa Monica debris basin, which I'll talk about here. It's part of the slideshow. So this picture here is just a slide of the record drawings. The basin, it is the dam embankment. This is the emergency spillway, which runs downhill, and then there's a plunge pool at the bottom of the emergency spillway. And this was all completed the late 70s. And let me see here. So the Santa Monica debris basin is located right here. It's actually part of the bigger Carpinteria Valley watershed project, which that started in the 70s and it really finished until the early 80s. So it was about 10 years from start to finish. And that involved several, the Santa Monica debris basin is really the crown jewel of that project, but it included several channels through the urbanized area also. So for those of you who are not too familiar with what happened here in Santa Barbara County, about a month preceding that, we had the Thomas Fire, which at the time was the largest fire in California history. And then 1 month after that, and the Thomas Fire burned mostly in Ventura County, but it also burned a lot of the front country in Santa Barbara County. And the burn was pretty severe. And then 1 month after that fire, we had a forecast for a significant storm. The storm, let me see here. It actually, quantitatively, it didn't dump a whole bunch of water on us, but there was a burst of rainfall on our denuded watershed that just wreaked havoc. We had a gauge that recorded, I think, 0.83 inches of rainfall in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And so you put that on a burned watershed, and we got a terrible, tragic debris flow. Montecito is located just westerly of Carpinteria, and 23 people perished in Montecito. And Carpinteria did not suffer that same fate, primarily because of this debris basin. These are pictures taken 3 days after the event or 2 days after the event. The emergency spill here, if you look at the photo on the left, this is the basin. That debris in the deepest part we're looking at maybe 45, 50 feet of debris. This is the emergency spillway over here to the right. And this photo here in the upper right is from the emergency spillway looking back towards the debris basin. And this picture here in the lower right is looking from the emergency spillway back towards the dam embankment. Of course, all the woody debris is on top. Below that, there was a layer of finer sediments, and then below that was all the big rock. These are some photos of the same perspectives, or close to the same perspectives as the last slide, obviously before the debris flow. So the debris basin itself has 3 outlet towers. You can see them here in the upper right corner. There's a lower tower, Tower A, a mid tower, Tower B, and a taller tower, Tower C. The top of the Tower C is equal in elevation with the crest of the emergency spillway. But when we got out there on January 11th or January 9th, Tower C was completely buried. And that's because debris backed up from the emergency spillway and projected upwards at I think about 1.5%. So the projection of the debris buried all these towers. So it was a huge mess, but it worked. It worked.
Yeah, you did the job.
So yeah, John put some slides here, just sort of describing what the response entailed to this. The initial response, we really relied on FEMA and the Corps to help us clean out this debris basin. John estimated here $10 to $20 million. I think the actual cost just to clean out this single debris basin was closer to the 20, maybe 15 to $20 million. I don't remember the exact volumes off the top of my head, but I want to say it was, well over 100,000 cubic yards of material. There's no local disposal sites. It all had to be hauled to Santa Paula and to Buellton, which, maybe 50 miles one-way trip. So these costs, the cost to clean out the basin was huge. In addition to the debris, we had several other cleanup efforts. I think they're detailed in further slides. So I'll wait for those to show up. But then coming out of the project, the basin worked fantastically well, but there were some shortcomings as far as maintenance and operations learned type thing. And so coming out of that, we developed an operational improvements project. And we've worked closely with the NRCS. Bill Ward helped us out with this also. And we have now partnered with the NRCS to on a $4.7 million operational improvement project for the basin. I'll talk a little bit about what that work entails and some of the shortcomings that we're trying to improve. These are just some more photos here. Of the cleanout effort. We really, the Corps really threw everything they had at it. A couple clamshell bucket, cranes, and a bunch of heavy equipment. The upper right-hand corner is the stream coming into the basin, and that completely filled in with heavy rock. In the lower right-hand corner, this is a bridge girder. Upstream, about a half mile upstream, there was a bridge that got completely wiped out by the debris flow and ended up in the debris basin. Just to give you an idea of how powerful this event was. One of the issues we had was the towers. They didn't necessarily initially clog. They did drain a little bit, but as we were mucking around trying to clean out the debris basin, a lot of the debris, a lot of the ash-laden sediment worked itself into the primary low-flow discharge pipe, and that ended up plugging the discharge pipe. That became an issue for us. As it turned out, the downstream end of the discharge pipe was not very accessible to us. And so we ended up having to build a temporary bridge across the emergency spillway channel to get to the primary discharge pipe outlet, which outletted back into the natural creek. So these photos here, the lower pipe here is a 48-inch RCP. That's the primary outlet pipe for the basin, and that pipe was completely plugged with ash-laden sediment. And so they had to really brainstorm of how we were going to unclog this pipe. And the solution that we developed was, I don't know how familiar you are with horizontal directional drilling. but it's really a method to install pipes in a trenchless manner instead of open cut trench. But we've adapted that technology to basically drill up from the bottom of the pipe, from the pipe outlet. They drilled a small diameter drill, flexible drill up the pipe, and then they reamed it back out. They pulled that back out in a reaming fashion. And it unclogged the pipe. And I think John has a video of that somewhere. I don't know if I can get it to work or not. Maybe
Yeah,
see if we
I wouldn't
can.
worry about that if that's a challenge, so.
But there's once they got the plug to break open, this is what it looked like.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so one of our, it's funny, the Corps of Engineers, they came in, they used the record drawings, they estimated how much material was in the basin, and then they let a contract out, an emergency contract to excavate that much material from the basin. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of control on survey control of what was taken out. And so the contractor sort of ended up taking material beyond the limits of the original line grade of the basin, leaving a lot of the rock at the bottom. And so when they reached their total contract volume, the Corps ended the contract. And unfortunately, that left about 12,000 yards of huge rock in the bottom of the basin, which they weren't going to deal with. And so we had to come in on our dime and clean out the remainder of the rock at the bottom of the basin. This is this is a picture of some of that rock here.
Wow.
And we kind of fun. We got to blow some of this stuff up. That was the first time in my career we got to use the contractor got to use dynamite.
Yeah, I bet.
And so that was one of our cleanup phases. And you can see the lower tower, Tower A, really took a beating. And so we had a subsequent project after that, which ended up just repairing some of these. This is that Tower A being reconstructed. We had to reconstruct some head walls and place some additional rock. Here in the lower right-hand corner, we had to reconstruct some V-ditch that was damaged. So real quickly, this is a schematic sketch of our proposed operational improvements. The basin is here on the left, the embankment is here after that, and then downstream is the plunge pool. And so some of our operational improvement items is increasing the height of these towers and reconfiguring the debris racks to help prevent, to maintain the hydraulic capacity of the towers, but to narrow the openings to prevent future clogging of the primary conduit. We are going, and then to the west of those towers, here on the left-hand side, there are some tower access pads. Originally, those pads were intended to be used by cranes in an attempt to clean the towers. With the popularity of long-reach excavators and their availability so prevalent, we are modifying these pads to get them a little closer to the towers. And we think we can do a pretty good job of opening these towers using a long excavator for access pads. Now, I don't quite know all the history, but there is a bridge that spans the emergency spillway on the east side of the Drew Basin right here. And my understanding is that bridge was only designed as a farm access road. So when the basin was built, right-of-way acquisition was pretty contentious. We ended up taking only the minimum amount of property that was necessary for the project. But the east of the basin that he needed to continue to access. And so the project constructed a road across the emergency spillway, which was intended primarily for farmer access. But as it turns out, this bridge is really needed for operations of the basin. It's our primary access to the east side of the basin to come down and around into the basin for cleanup efforts. But the bridge, it wasn't structurally designed for heavy equipment. It wasn't structurally designed for loaded haul trucks. And it was exceptionally narrow also. And so as part of our operational improvements, we are going to remove and replace that bridge to help with our operations. Maybe I didn't quite adequately show it, but this this here is the alignment of our primary outlet pipe. It comes, it collects water from our 3 towers. It goes underneath the embankment and then runs down to the south. And at some point it crosses underneath the emergency spillway. And right at this location, it then discharges back into the natural creek channel. But the original design had no access to this, to the outlet pipe. And so as part of our operational improvements, we are building another bridge across the emergency spillway channel right here. And that bridge will allow us to access the outlet of the pipe. So those are the primary features of the operational improvements project. And then these slides aren't very interesting. It just shows a lot of the paperwork and approvals for work. Let me see here. So yes, we did get emergency watershed protection money from the NRCS in the amount of $368,000 plus or minus, and that was mostly focused on the repairs, the immediate repairs to the facility that were damaged. They were damaged both as part of the original debris flow, but they were also damaged as from the cleanout too. It's just really impossible to avoid damaging the facilities.
Right.
And then after that, we received the watershed flood protection money
Yeah, that
in the amount of $4.7 million.
that sounds more like it.
So that was awarded March 2020. Our plans are currently at about the 95% level, and we're still hoping to go to construction later this year. That'll probably extend into 2022.
That's great. Matt, if you're done with the pictures, you want to take the screen sharing screen thing down?
Sure. Yes, that ended it there.
Okay, go ahead and just end the screen sharing. That way everybody can see each other. So that was terrific. Really appreciate you showing the details of that. And again, this project here, I actually have a YouTube video of it. And let's see, I think we might have time to show it. Let me see if I can do this myself. And Lee, in particular, you're going to enjoy this. I don't think you've seen it, but anyway, this is going to really show the devastation that occurred all around the area there. If you weren't right downstream of the basin, it's pretty amazing. So I've got that on email. I can send you YouTube.
We're not going to have to buy your album, are we, Bill?
No.
This you, Claymore. I'll buy it if you autograph it, okay?
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
Bill,
thanks.
while we're watching this, this Hugh Playboy, I'd also like to say how much fun it really was working with you guys, and it's so great to be able to go any place in the county and see projects that we did together. I mean, this is throughout Ventura County. You know, and the good we did for the county. So you know, that's one thing I'm very proud of. I think the design and construction is the most fun thing that an engineer can do.
Oh, I agree, Hugh, 100%. By trial and error, we got it in there. But so I think let's see how much. Okay, we got about 3 minutes left. So just enough time to say farewell and thanks again to everybody for participating. Any other comments for the good of the order?
Well, Bill, I for one appreciate your effort. When I first saw you had put agenda together and everything else, I thought, well, this is too much like work.
I'll tell you, it was
We're
a little
supposed to
bit
be
of work.
retired.
That's okay. You know, it was fun, and it was fun to reconnect with all you guys, and you know, just I mean, it's fun to think about all the things we did well together, and you know, kind of just remember those things. So I enjoyed doing it. So anyway,
Your work is still paying off today.
yeah.
Yes.
I would like to say, Bill, while we have Matt with Santa Barbara County on the line still, and folks from the West NTC, I had the privilege of working on 3 separate watershed projects in the field, including San Miguelito and Tehachapi, and then also a triple arch project in Ventura County for a short period of time. And it was always a pleasure to work with folks at the NTC during the review and approval process, and then also our sponsors and getting land rights and permits initially. And then also in the case of Ventura County, then picking up a lot of the contract administration. So that had, it's a pleasure working with a group of agencies that work so well together. So
Yes.
I just enjoyed it. Well, as a project engineer in the field, and then also on the design staff later. So
Yeah,
appreciate everybody's help.
Yeah, I agree, Jim, and you did a great job out in the field and in design too. So anyway, that was a unique situation where you got to see it from both ends. So
Well, thanks, Bill and Jim. I don't think Don Wallen's on anymore, is he? I don't.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But anyway, yeah, we certainly appreciate it. I never worked that much in California on projects. But other than that Santa Monica one, I remember that one from
yeah,
one of the first jobs I had when I got to Portland was to review the drawings. It was A&E design for the most part, as I recall.
Right.
But yeah, we've always enjoyed working with your staff too. It's been great.
I appreciate the time. I need to run.
Yep, thank you.
Right,
Thanks for the
Matthew, thank
presentation.
you.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
appreciate it. So at this point, I think we're good to go, guys. I did record this, so it'll probably be maybe some pieces of it might come out okay. I never recorded before. There's this challenge of trying to remember, when you're supposed to start and stop it and all this other kind of stuff. So
Well, at one point during the presentation, Bill, my screen just went off and it said your free time is done.
yeah, that's what happened. One of the things about screen sharing is it kind of hides your screen, and I didn't realize it, but we were done out of time. So
We were having such a grand time, we forgot all about the clock. Huh?
that's exactly right.
That's right.
Exactly right. So anyway, but it was good. So at this point,
Harold,
yeah, we got less than a minute.
my wife and I both remember you, but we don't remember where we met you.
Yeah.
I have the same problem.
Okay, guys, I'm out of time. Farewell to everybody.
Okay.
I'll send it
All
to
right.
everybody.
Thanks, Bill.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.